Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, kick back and relax. It's Better on Draft.
Hello and welcome to Better on Draft, episode 360. My name is Rob, and with me, as always, is Wendy and our guest, Mark. But I'm going to go ahead and ask Wendy, hey, Wendy, what are you drinking today?
Well, I am drinking a $60 nachos from Hoof Hearted Brewing Company.
Nice. I today have a Taxman Bourbon Barrel Tax Holiday that I picked up. It is still wet January here in my house, and this is one that I found that was over 10%. And then with us today, we have our guest from Indiana on Tap. We have Mark Lasbury. Hello, Mark. How are you doing? What are you drinking?
Hey, Rob. Hey, Wendy. I happen to have a nice Doppelbock from Moontown Brewing in Whitestown, Indiana. It's the Gilbert and Olivator, so properly named Doppelbock. Goes off at about 8% and is just pure liquid bread.
I do like getting up to Moontown. That is a fun visit. So, Mark, welcome to the show. It's happy to have you on here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, can you tell us a little about yourself and why I might have invited you onto the show?
Oh, yeah. So I drink a lot of beer. It goes a little beyond that. My partner and I have a company called Indiana on Tap. We support Indiana craft beer, wine, and spirits. We do that several ways. We hold festivals to increase brand recognition for the producers. We have something called the Tasting Society Marketplace. That is a membership program that will get members discounts around the state. We write their news and their stories for our website and our social media channels. We have a ticketing platform called On Tap Tickets that the vast majority of beer, wine, and spirits events in Indiana use completely free. And we also dole out a good amount of advice and make contacts for people who have questions, producers that are trying to get opened up, people that have a problem and need it solved. I rarely know the answer, but I know that I know somebody who does. So I think an important part to say is that we are a company. We do make money, but we do not charge producers, the breweries, the wineries, the distilleries. We never charge them. They can come to us and ask for some marketing material, marketing help or something, but we never charge them for anything that we do. We make our money off the craft beer fan, not the producer.
Interesting. So I'm going to dive into a little bit of that with some of my experience with you guys. I was a member of the Tasting Society Marketplace shortly after it existed. So before it had a digital format. In fact, this glass is due to one of the coupons from the Tasting Society Marketplace. And so I found that to be, sure, I had to pay to be in the group, but I found the benefits to be pretty amazing. And I would love if you could, explain to our audience what that is.
The Tasting Society Marketplace, like I said, it's a membership program. So we have gone digital now. So members will purchase a membership that will give them access via the app to a mess about, right now it's about 130 different venues in the state that have small offers. We find that in order to create a regular, you need to get them back into the place for at least 3 visits. So we always ask our partners, our producers, to get maybe 2 or 3 offers so that they can bring them back. It is a digital app. When the people arrive at the establishment, they tell the beer slinger that they're looking to redeem an offer. The establishment puts in their code, and that dithers out that offer if they choose to. Sometimes they choose not to and let you use it again, but that will dither out that offer for the rest of the year. And it gets people discounts on merchandise, food, basically anything that the business does. We worked very hard with ATC to make sure that the wording that was right, so that we could offer money towards alcohol. We're not giving discounts on alcohol. It's money towards it. It's basically an e-coupon. So the ATC is fine with what we do, and it's really nice. I mention that because it takes us some time to convince the producers that this is okay. It's a big part of our FAQ is explaining to them why it's legal to do it that way.
Yeah, because it's illegal to discount alcohol. It used to be illegal by time. You could do it by day.
Yeah.
And you can't offer coupons and stuff. Like, yeah.
Yeah, these are the way that they had been running was that if you offer it to one person, you have to offer it to everybody. So this actually sort of circumvents that a little bit. But yeah, we've never had any problem with it, and people do love going in and getting, buy a pint, get a free pint, or a lot of people will actually redeem their offers on flights. Flights are always a great way. It promotes beer tourism. You get people going around the state. So yeah, we've had really good feedback on it, and it's in its 9th, 10th year. So yeah.
Wendy over there was smirking when you talked about flights because Ken, who is not on the podcast this week, had strong opinions.
Not a big flight guy, or a strong
he's
flight
not
guy?
A big flight guy, and nobody's here to play Ken, and
yeah,
Ken's getting flights today.
I am a big flight guy. There are one of the things that you can look at in a brewery is how they cross styles. There are breweries that make really good IPAs, but wouldn't know a Saison if it slapped them in the face. So being able to try, and yes, it's not a whole beer, but technically, I mean, the judges tell me that 1.5 ounces is more than enough to judge a beer on. And usually these are 4 or 5 ounces. And if you do it properly, and by that, I mean my version of properly, you try the beer when it's cold and then let it sit for a while. Try the beer again when it's warmer. It really can give you a pretty good idea of what's going on with the beer. Now, that being said, there are times I wouldn't order a flight. Saturday night at a packed bar, that's just mean.
Yeah.
So, flights are done. Flights are day drinking kinds of things.
Yeah, or when you see them behind on cleaning glassware.
Yeah. Very true.
If my memory serves me correctly, I thought it was the Tasting Society Marketplace that got me some pretty great opportunities, such as before Metazoa opened. We got to go hang out there with the head brewer at the time, I think an owner, and just kind of try some of their early drafts of beers. And then
there are times when that does come into effect. The idea that some people are understaffed now, and it's harder to be able to pull them out to do something special. But yeah, we're trying to work on getting more of the places that are just opening. And really, that's a great idea because they need the exposure just a little more. So we're going to try to work with Blue River Tap House in Newcastle and places like Hagerstown Brewing to make sure that we're getting people into their tap rooms as early as possible. And Tasting Society is one way to get them previews like that. The other great way to get previews is if we can get those breweries, even if they're not open yet, to come pour some beer or sell merchandise at a festival. That really raises their exposure, their brand recognition.
And that was one thing you mentioned, that you've got a ticketing um,
Yeah. On tap.
platform.
Yeah, On Tap Tickets is our Indiana ticketing platform. We have a national version of it called On Tap Tix. But if we just talk about the Indiana one, it's a completely free to use ticketing platform. The ticketing fees, which can be passed on to uh, the ticket buyer, which is basically what every platform does, those are usually lower than the national ticketing platforms, Eventbrite, things like that. It comes with free marketing. So it's free for them to use, but they get free marketing on our social media channels and on our emails that get sent to anybody who's ever purchased an on tap ticket. So it's a really great ticketing platform, Indiana centric, beer, wine, spirits centric. Also, we do a decent amount of food and a decent amount of music. But it really targets the marketing right to the audience that they're looking for. It also comes with something called the Marketing Intelligence Report, which no other ticketing platform has. It's a very in-depth breakdown, both by chart and text, of their ticket buying metrics and demographics. So it will make the organizers a much better marketers for future events. It tells them where people saw them, when they bought tickets, what day of the week, what cities were purchasing tickets, so you know where you didn't penetrate well, where you could penetrate better. It really helps people, not necessarily with the event they just had, but with the next event, it'll be very much better.
Interesting. And one of those coming up events is Frigid Digits, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Frigid Digits is a great event. We'll probably pack Center Point with another 1,250 people this February 15th, 1 to 5 at Center Point Brewing in downtown Indianapolis on Brookside Avenue. Right now, I think I'm at 43 alcohol vendors for that. And we pack them into that little parking lot. It helps keep everybody warm. We also, try to do some interesting things. We have live music. We have the food trucks there. We're bringing in a fire dancer this year from Fort Wayne, from Bluffton, actually. But yeah, so we'll have a couple of fire dancing escapades. At least it gives the people the idea of being warm, but it definitely is Frigid Digits. It's well named.
It seems like that's grown a bit from when it started.
Yes. Well, as the story goes, one of the owners of Center Point, Carl, actually did this when he was in college. He just bought a bunch of beer and they sat out in the backyard in the snow and drank it. And he called it Frigid Digits. So when the brewery opened, they just expanded that and invited a whole bunch of people. So it's been, even though this is the ninth or 10th year of Frigid Digits, it actually, the Frigid Digits has been going on for 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I can't believe they've been open that long. They were also a brewery I got to go to a pre-open event for. I don't remember if it was through Tasting Society Marketplace or through a buddy, but I got to go.
Yeah, they're really great guys. They're all Rose-Hulman grads, so they do a lot with the engineering part of it. It is what you see in their logo and in their decor. That these guys are engineers.
Are there other upcoming festivals that are as interesting or unique as that?
Well, the week after Frigid Digits, there's actually another outdoor winter beer fest on Lake Michigan. That one's called Shelf Ice Brew Fest in Michigan City. Our company does the ticketing for that, helps marketing. I do the invites for the vendors and the vendor communications. And then Indiana on Tap actually takes a team up to Michigan City, and we run the front gate for that event as well. And being on Lake Michigan, there are years where shelf ice is even colder than frigid digits.
That sounds cold.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a nice festival, a small festival, tomorrow actually on the 25th up in Lafayette. It's called the Lafayette Winter Warmer, probably the oldest of the events in the state for winter events. That's done with Greg Emig out of Lafayette Brewing, and it thankfully is indoors. So they bring in a lot of the locals, and they do bigger beers, and those are done up on the second floor. It's a nice. They pack them in there, but it's a nice smaller festival. Yeah. So there are. It used to be, that we would have a few months off after October, and then we'd wait until we were, ramping up again in March or April. But now it's really kind of year round.
Interesting. And have you noticed? Have you noticed differences in how festivals go for you when you're managing them versus when you get to attend them as just a drinker?
Well, I was talking about this with my wife, Walter. Her name's Lori, but everybody knows her as Walter. She says that even when I'm not running a festival, I act like I'm running a festival. Yeah, I try not to. Well, I observe. Sometimes I observe things that I really like, and sometimes I observe things that are a little questionable. But yeah, attending an event is usually easier if I have just attended that event before. If it's the first time I'm attending that event, my radar is going to be a lot hotter. So we really like going back to festivals when we're not involved with them, because then I can just really relax.
Okay. Speaking of going back to festivals, my annual trip to Winterfest, I'm looking forward to that. I have a big group and we all go.
Yeah, that's the weekend before Frigid Digits. So it's 3 in a row right there, the 7th, the 15th, and the 22nd.
Yeah, that's kind of a busy February.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we take a small crew, and every year we head up to Great Taste of the Midwest. You were asking me about festivals I like to attend, and that's we're going to have our ashes spread there. That is one fantastic festival. They do everything right.
My son moved to Madison, and I have a bug in his ear to get me a ticket.
Yeah, it's still a matter of, it's win a lottery to get a ticket, and it's win a lottery to pour at the event. So they limit it to 6,000 people. They limit it to 195 breweries. So they've got 3 tiers actually of breweries. If you were an original brewery, then you can come back any year you want. If you've been there for several years, well, you enter one lottery for returning breweries. If you want to be a first-year brewery at that event, you enter a different lottery for rookies. And so, yeah, it's not just Walter and I. Everybody loves that festival.
Yeah, it sounds pretty exclusive.
Yeah, they do it on Lake Mendota, so you're on the rolling hills right down to the lake. It's gorgeous. Kids are welcome. People bring their lawn chairs and they just hang out. I bet there are a dozen different musicians travel, around the everywhere they are. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I try to make sure that our festivals have that kind of vibe to them.
When you're putting together the festivals or helping the hosts put together the festivals, do you get to direct much? Do you get to add much input?
Well, for our events, I pretty much run the entire thing.
Okay.
So I book the bands. I get the stages. We'll have we have good volunteer help on the day of, and we have a crew of our own that comes and works at just about every event. But yeah, I'll do the vendor invites. We bring it. These are truly community festivals. Now, Frigid Digits is a little harder because we're kind of cramped in that space. So I don't have nearly as many artists and artisans at that event. But you take an event like Columbus on Tap or Loggers in Lawrence Oktoberfest. We'll have a dozen and a half artists and artisans that will come out to display and sell their art. We'll have community groups that will come out to give out information. We often trade them sponsorship credit. If they want to give us 2 or 3 volunteers, then we'll let them have their booth for free, and they can talk to everybody. Small businesses. We've got not only food trucks, but we have boutique food vendors that do different kinds of one-offs on food. Nate's Beef Jerky is always a big seller. So yeah, we have dancers. A lot of our events will have 3 stages of music simultaneously. So we'll bring in like Anderson on Tap has 3 stages, Savor Lebanon has 3 stages, Rushville Libations by the Levee has 3 stages. So we put them off where they're either hidden by buildings or they're far enough apart so that they don't clash. And then, yeah, everywhere you go, you're hearing some different kind of music. We'll bring in lots of different styles, singer-songwriter stuff, rock covers, bluegrass. So we usually have a good conglomeration of different styles of music. But yeah, that's what I mean by it. It really is a community festival.
Yeah, that sounds great and kind of unique.
Yeah, pain in the tuchus, but yeah, they work out nice. It's
There's
always
a lot of logistics there.
Yeah, it's always nice the day after. Yeah.
Right.
A lot of these, like Anderson, this is our 10th year doing Anderson on Tap. So the logistics of it, they get easier. I know where the electrical access is. I know, where I can stick a booth and where I can't stick a booth. So it does get easier that way. First year events are a lot more labor intensive. Hopefully this year, I think we'll have maybe 2 new events. Neither one of these they're both in the negotiation stage, but they're both pretty well far along on the negotiation stage. But we may end up back in Michigan City in the first day of August. They have, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Great Lakes Grand Prix, the speedboat races on Lake Michigan.
I have not.
They bring in a ton of people, and they were looking to expand what they offer the people that come into the town. So we're actually going to do a craft beverage festival on a Friday night while they're running the speedboat races. So could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds loud and raucous.
Yeah, and that's okay. That works out too.
So you'll get Michigan City in the winter and in the summer.
Yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy it maybe a little more in the summer. Although Shelf Ice has that vibe that you are looking for. This year they were looking, to maybe massage the location, and so ticket sales just went on. I think Monday, and we'll sell out over 2,000 here in the next couple of days. So ticket sales for that one just go so fast.
Excellent. Yeah. Huh. Okay, so we've talked about festivals. We've talked about Tasting Society Marketplace. I first came across you because I found your blog on Indiana on Tap, and one thing that I enjoyed was that you seemed to get a chance to travel the state and try all the breweries and talk to all the brewers and do all the fun stuff. So can you tell us a bit about that experience?
Oh
Yes.
yeah, there was we try to get out to hit 3 or 4 places, every weekend that we're not doing a festival or not attending a festival. And even sometimes when we are attending, I don't know how good this sounds, but we have actually done 3 festivals in one day. Um, it We haven't done that often. We've done
That
two
sounds like
festivals. Yeah,
that sounds like
uh,
Livers of Steel.
yeah. Oh, Walter's liver can beat up your liver, I'm sure. Uh, it's a matter of the reason that we're going a lot is to talk to the vendors. It's a great way to get all those brewers, all those owners, all those staff people into one location and being able to talk to them all at the same time. It's a good way to keep up with what's going on in the breweries, and they'll give me a heads up on an event they're going to have that I can write an article on, or some other news that they have. Maybe they've got a brewer who's moving on, and I often get emails or talk to people that say, we've got a brewery opening. Do you have anybody who's looking for a spot? Or I'll get a brewer who's, unfortunately, like a brewery just closed. And so I'll send out some emails asking for people who may have a spot open. But yeah, we love traveling the state. It gives us an opportunity to really hit a lot of the breweries that are true mom and pop. Don't do distribution. If you want to drink their beer, you're going to drink it in their tap room. Places like, I don't know, you're Indiana guy. Have you ever heard of Harry Stuff Brewing?
That's the one I was going to bring up. It's on the list of places I want to go. Because
Oh yeah,
I was on a trip near there, but I just did not have time. I was still a 20-minute drive from there.
yeah. Well, it's a 20-minute drive from everywhere. It's
Exactly.
if you it's in a little burg called Wawaka, Indiana. If you blink, you'll miss it. I think last week they heard that Lincoln was shot. Uh, it is really out there. But Aaron Stuff does a great job. The brewery is located on his grandfather's farm, Harry Stuff. So he named the brewery after his grandfather. He's got these Italian puncheons that he ages beer in, which do a lot to free up his fermenters so that he can make these lagers that just sit. They just 6-7 week aged lagers. So that it's a great. His opening day, he had an American Wild that was then aged in the puncheon and then split over like 300 pounds of I think it was red raspberries that they grow on the farm and then blended back together. That was one of his opening day beers. So it is a treasure. And he will can some beer, but it's almost always that you will buy that beer, whether it's canned or draft. You'll buy it in the tap room. His wife, Louisa, she makes all the food. She's from Colombia, so she specializes in things like corn-based empanadas, and it's an experience. You have to make it to Harry Stuff. I heartily suggest that you make it up to Harry Stuff. But then
it's funny because it's near Fort Wayne. Near. It's
Yeah.
still a hike from Fort Wayne.
yeah, relatively.
And Fort Wayne, they had that petition to name their government building, and it was going to be named Harry Balls, but they said
Yes.
they would not name it after
Yeah.
after their mayor, Harry Balls.
Well, we got a decent second. Mad Anthony Brewing in Fort Wayne has a beer called Harry Balls.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. So yeah, places like Harry Stuff are just amazing. And then I never say like who I like the best or anything. That's just not in my purview, and it's also subjective. But I will tell you that down in New Albany, have you been to a place called Floyd County Brewing?
My wife went. I did not go on that trip.
The name does not belie the way this place is. It's a brewery that's completely based on Monty Python and the Holy Grail. All the beer names, all the decor, all the food in the pub. You look through these looks like dungeon arches, and they have sconces on the wall, and you can look through to the brew house, and it's a whole atmosphere. Every surviving member of Monty Python has been to the brewery. They have an agreement with Python Pictures where they can show Holy Grail once a year in the tap room. And then the owner, Brian, has this very nice model where he takes so much of what profit he has each year and invests it back in to the campus now. So after the first year, they put on a beer garden. After the second year, they expanded the beer garden. In the third year, they bought the building behind them. They go down a hill down toward the Ohio River. They bought the building behind them and put in a wood-fired pizza oven and a second bar. The fourth year, they bought the two houses below them all the way down to the river, and they put in an outdoor music venue called the Enchanted Forest. So it's in the trees, and they put all these colored lights on when they have concerts outside at night. He then bought the building to the west for a production brewery, and he bought the building a little farther west, and they put in their own distillery, but a spirits bar. So it's an amazing story of just wanting to stay right there, but still expanding on everything he does.
Yeah, that sounds cool. There's a few of those little nuggets around then.
Yeah, the state is full of those kinds of stories. Everybody who's doing this is doing this for the right reasons. For the love of making the beer, and for the love, we have a phrase that you happen to make beer. You're actually in the people business. So they do it because they want to serve the people, because they want to show their art and science. Yeah, they need to make a buck, but that's hardly ever the primary motivator.
So, since I am from Michigan, my question would be, can you give me 3 that are must-sees if I'm going through Indiana?
If you're going through Indiana, the must-see, are you a dog person?
Of course.
Okay. You need to visit Metazoa Brewing in downtown Indianapolis. There are evenings there that the dogs outnumber the people. They have a big dog park. All the dogs, they have food, but the food is located outside the building, so you can have all the dogs inside the building. And they donate 5% of their profits back to animal rescue. And they were GABF Small Brewery of the Year about 3 years ago. So they make extremely good beer as well. So yeah, Metazoa is a place that you have to see.
I'm going to jump in on Metazoa. You never know what other animals you'll see there too.
Oh, that's true. We've seen snakes. We've saw an otter once. Also, extremely good beer names. They do a good job with their beer names. The one that I'm really partial to right now, Trash Panda. That's a good one. And I'm trying to think of what they're called. Oh, Mortal Wombat is their cold. I think that's their cold IPA. Mortal Wombat.
I have that one.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great place to hit. I would hit Terre Haute Brewing in Terre Haute, Indiana, because they're about, you can hit Afterburner Brewing with a rock from there, and it's Terre Haute Brewing is actually housed inside the old Terre Haute Brewing building, so there's a lot of history there. And Anthony makes great beers, and then you take a 100-foot walk and you're at Afterburner Brewing, which is a brewery started by 4 Air National Guard guys who are now retired from the National Guard. But so it's all Air National, Air Force related for Afterburner Brewing. So that's a good couple right there. Let me see. A third one. Well, we talked about Harry stuff. We talked about Floyd County. I think a really nice one, and this is where we get into this. What is it that you like in a brewery? One of the things that Walter and I like very much is the people behind the bar, and Hog Molly Brewing in Columbus is a place. The beer is very good, but Lou and Martha are better. They'll talk to you about anything. They always remember your name. They come out and sit down and have a beer with you. So yeah, Lou and Martha Krempel at Hog Molly Brewing in Columbus. Both Lou and his son were offensive linemen in college football, and that's what a hog molly is. A hog molly is an offensive lineman. So the entire brewery is sort of football themed. So yeah, that's I know I'm missing out on, tons of them at Elm Street and Muncie and Thiem and Wagner and Lafayette. And
which is the one in the monastery?
St. Benedict's Brew Works. Yeah. Down in Ferdinand. It's interesting because that monastery is actually a nunnery. Those are not monks, they're nuns. The nuns will come down to the brewery and they'll help them peel the blood oranges for the blood orange blonde, and they'll make cookies that they'll sell at their Christmas around Christmas time. So yeah, the nuns are very involved at St. Benedict's with Vince and his beer. They've actually he had a place in Rockport, but that tap room closed. He's got a place in Jasper. He's getting ready to open a place in Vincennes. So St. Benedict's also owns Santa Claus Brewing, so in Santa Claus, Indiana. So yeah, he started at a monastery and now he's going to take over the world.
That's awesome. So I see that you travel a lot through Indiana. Do you get to travel outside of Indiana for beer?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have our spots. Michigan. We love going up to Michigan. 3 of my favorite breweries are up in Michigan. I don't know. One's in the UP. It's called Barrel and Beam in Marquette.
Okay.
That is fantastic. We love Seeds, of course, and that's just one of the top breweries in the country. The way he makes lagers like that, and we also really like Stormcloud in, I think that's Frankfurt.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we've been to, I don't know, I suppose 60 or 70 in Michigan, but off the top of my head, those are the ones that really kind of stand out. We like to find
Stormcloud. What, October, November? Pretty recently, we talked to Stormcloud.
Oh, that's
Sorry
good.
to interrupt.
Oh yeah. I always get them mixed up because there's Stormcloud in Michigan, but then there's Cloudburst in Seattle. And Cloudburst is a stunningly good brewery too, but it always sticks in my head because the GM and his wife are actually Hoosiers, so that always created an impression with me. We kind of look for places where that are kind of hidden beer towns. Dayton, Ohio is a fantastic beer town. They have 1819 as you loop your way sort of down towards Cincinnati. We love going over to Champaign, Illinois. We love heading down into the southern part of Illinois, especially go to Scratch. Scratch Brewing is probably top 5 brewery in the country. But then we usually hit the big beer towns, Tampa, Asheville. I really enjoy White Labs. Have you ever been to White Labs in Asheville?
No, I haven't. I keep being told to go.
Yeah, it's White Labs does yeast, but they also have a brewery, and so they'll make 6-8 beers, but they'll make them each with 2 or 3 different yeast strains, so you can get a flight of one style of beer made with 4 different yeasts, and it's very enlightening to try to pick out the differences and see what the yeast does to the beer. They also have stunningly good food, and they're only 200 feet from Burial, so they got that going for them too.
I love Burial.
Oh yeah. We're kind of partial to Catawba, which is around the other side of the block, and the Green Mansion for Green Man Brewing, which is down at the bottom of the hill, right below White Labs. Stunning. Oh, yeah. Well, we're gonna have to. You got me talking. We're gonna have to take a trip here in a second.
So, speaking of trips, then, what is maybe a bucket list that you still have, brewery that you still have to hit?
Well, I want to go to the original Sierra Nevada, and we have not drunk like Southern California or any of those places out there. So, Modern Times, I would really love to get to. We did Seattle, but we haven't done Portland. So Portland beer would be one to get to. And then I think, well, we've had it on our list for a couple of summers about driving up through Vermont and New Hampshire, and just haven't been able to get that one done. But we know where we want to go. Yeah, when it actually does happen, I've got the list all ready to go.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Really looking forward to hit Fiddlehead. Fiddlehead is one of my favorites, but we haven't ever been there. So
I've got a few of those road trips planned out like that.
yeah,
It's ready to go for whenever I get a chance to do it.
Yeah, I keep talking to the Indiana brewers that who say that they don't like it because they lose out business to another brewery that's in town. But beer tourism is a real thing. And if you're within, half dozen miles of a place, it's much more likely that you're going to get looped into somebody else's pub crawl. So it's a good thing to have a little bit of density. Too much density, yeah. And we may have hit that in Fort Wayne in the last year or two. I think they lost 4 breweries in 2024. So it's a little more sparse than it was, but they've got a good one coming this year. More Brewing out of Chicago is actually opening a brewery and brew pub in Fort Wayne. So that's a good get.
Yeah, that's nice. And I always bring up downtown Indianapolis, but along College Avenue and
Oh yeah,
and heading into Fountain Square, that's just a great crawl.
oh yeah, you end up crawling.
Yeah.
Especially since you've also got, well, for a little while longer, you've got Four Finger Distillery down there, and you still got Hotel Tango down there, but so you can mix it up a little bit. Brewdog, in Fountain Square is gone now, but having Upland down there and Garfield Brewing down just a little bit further south in Garfield Park, yeah, you can head straight up College Avenue and hit easily wineries there as well, but that's Metazoa, easily St. Joseph, Sun King, and then you can head straight up further until you get up into the Broad Ripple area, and there's still things that are on College Avenue.
Yeah.
I have a friend who had a brewery here, and they had to move for personal reasons, to take care of family members. And
Kate and Kim?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting ready to open Milwaukee in Bloomington.
Yep. excited about that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to talk to him. I just sent out an email a couple of days ago, seeing if we could get together and I could start writing about them before they get open. Yeah, we visited the Guardian when they had that, and so we took them. There's actually a brewery here in Indiana called The Guardian Brewery.
Yep.
They were just Guardian Brewing, but we took them up a T-shirt and a pint glass from The Guardian. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see him down in Bloomington. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Bloomington's turning into a beer city.
Bloomington's got a little bit of a beer thing going. We lost Function, but Metalworks took their place, and we lost Switchyard, which is too bad. But I'm really loving what Heartwork is doing. Dan Dutcher at Heartwork Brewing is making some wonderful lagers and doing a lot of different styles, and doing a lot of beer education down there for Bloomington. So it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like they're getting another.
Yeah, and now they'll bring in Tawaki, which
And the 800-pound gorilla of Upland.
yes, yeah, it's a fantastic place. If we don't have our ashes spread at Great Taste of the Midwest, then it'll be the wood shop. All those 100-barrel wooden fermenters that they've got there. That it's just gorgeous. I really wish they would bring back the Sour Wild Funk Fest. They used to bring in, I don't know if Wendy, had you ever heard of the Funk Fest?
Yes.
Yeah, 55 of the best sour breweries in the country. They'd bring them in to do sours. Everybody'd carry Tums along with them. It was a really great festival. I wish they'd bring that back.
I believe that I went there. It was, God, it was before COVID.
Yeah. I think COVID is what killed off Funk Fest.
Yeah, that was a really good time. That was where I was introduced to Taxman Brewing.
Ah, was it indoors or outdoors?
It was indoors.
Oh, yeah. So it was at the
in
Maverick Center up on like
Yeah.
the 3 floors. Yeah.
Yep. And they
Yeah.
had a balcony up top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I wish we'll have to see if we can strong arm them into bringing it back.
That would be awesome. We took like 10 of us there. We got an Airbnb in an old church that they rented out the bottom of the Airbnb, and then they had like a show up in the
In the loft above you?
in the area, but I don't even remember what it's called, the church area,
Yeah.
the sanctuary.
Oh,
They turned
okay.
it into a theater, and then we were in the basement, and there was like 4 or 5 rooms in the basement for us, but we got to see the show if we wanted to watch it. It was
Perks.
really cool.
All
It was
kinds
a
of
really
perks.
Interesting spot to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
Obviously, we did the festival, which was a blast. Like I said, I met the people from Taxman there, and Country Boy was there.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was the first time I ever had their beer, and Russian River was there.
Oh, gosh.
So that was really cool.
Yeah. But they bring in Cape May. That was the first time I'd had Cape May, was at one of their festivals. And they bring in the people from like Foothills and anybody who's making a really good sour. You would find it at Funk Fest. They've got a new director of marketing and events, Josh, who's a friend of mine. So maybe I can strong arm him into that. Good idea. Thank you.
I would go.
Yeah, it needs to come back.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
go for sure.
Yeah.
Though it is a really long day drinking sours like that.
Well, yeah, yeah. Walter just hang the Tums right around her neck, and so not every other stop, you just pop a Tums and try to eat a little bit. So it can, sours can get to you, but it's not like going to an IPA fest where you try one, your palate's destroyed, and for the rest of the afternoon you're not tasting anything.
Right.
They do a nice one down in Louisville. They do a nice IPA fest down in Louisville at
Young Center?
Wide at Mile
Oh,
Wide. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, at Mile Wide Brewing, they do it right there, and they just bring in like really good IPA makers. Googman House here in Indianapolis. Googman House goes down for Mile Wide's IPA Fest. So yeah, but niched festivals are something that I'm interested in, but you have to have the quality has to be so high because you're already limiting your audience.
Right.
If you really niche a festival, um,
I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know if they still do it, but like Sun King had their Canvitational, and that's a niche that you
Yeah.
know you're going to get all the different styles. So it's just like a regular.
yeah. They did it.
festival.
They did it for 2 or 3 years, and by like the third year, if it was 3, so many more breweries were canning that it was no longer sort of a niche. It was sort of oh yeah, well they're just going to give you canned beer, but no, we loved.
They accomplished their goal.
Yeah, the first Canvitational was great because it was down there on Pan Am Plaza, and you actually, while you were standing in line to go to the portalettes, they would bring around beer for you. Always a plus. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, I would agree with that.
yeah, yeah. That was always we like that, like Death and Taxes Day down at Taxman Brewing. As you're waiting in the corral to get into the festival, you actually have access to the Taxman draft, so you can drink your beer while you wait to get into the festival. Yeah.
That's crowd service there.
Mm-hmm.
That is one that I didn't get to go to. We went after the Funk Fest. That same group of people went to Death and Taxes.
Oh.
I couldn't get it off. I had something going on. There was something to do with my family. So I didn't get to go, but I've kicked myself every year when I think about it that I haven't gone yet.
Yeah, yeah. It's coming back. We just redid the ticketing page for them today. So tickets will be going on sale pretty soon. It's April 20 something. It's right before 26th, I believe. Yeah, I think it's the 26th, right before CBC comes to Indianapolis. So
yeah, are you looking forward to CBC? Are you going?
yeah, I will definitely be going. I don't know in what aspect yet. We would really like to try to do something for the breweries, maybe have a night where we had a brewery get together in downtown Indianapolis where they can just come hang out with each other. One of the things you find out is that the people that have the least amount of time to go out and drink beer are the brewers. You always ask them, have you been to blah? Have you been to no, I never get out of here. So yeah, it'd be nice to have something so that they could come talk to each other, and they get to do it, like at Winterfest or at Indiana Brewers Cup. But it'd always be nice if they had another opportunity to just hang out and talk to each other. So we're hoping that maybe we can do something like that during CBC. But yeah, we'll have some sort of presence at CBC. I don't know exactly what it'll be yet.
Okay. We are coming up on wrapping up the show.
Mm-hmm.
So before we do that, we get to ask a final question of our guest. I have sprung this on Wendy. I don't know if she's ready, so I will go ahead and ask the final question that I usually ask, and then she can have a chance. And my question is, what is the last board game you played, and did you win?
Okay. My wife is sitting over here. She can't hear you, but she knows that I don't play board games because I'm way too competitive. It's not fun for anyone when I play board games. Now, there is one that it's a card game. It's not a board game, but we did buy something called Uno
Blitz.
It's a massive Uno game, and it's instead of draw 2, it's like draw 10. Yeah. So we're meeting our daughter at Wooden Bear Brewing. Oh, it's called Uno No Mercy.
Ah,
Yeah. We're meeting our daughter at Wooden Bear tomorrow afternoon for her birthday, so we might actually break that out.
Nice.
Yeah, but no, you don't want to be around me when it starts to go bad in Monopoly. Yeah.
I'm like,
No.
how does it go that bad in Monopoly? But my grandmother refused to sell any of her properties when we were getting to the end of the game one time. And my roommate was here playing the game with us, and to this day, that was like 30 years ago. And to this day, she still refuses to play Monopoly with my grandmother.
Oh yeah. I like to come up with side deals, and sometimes those aren't appreciated very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my grandma would be like, "That's not allowed."
Yeah, that's the show that to me in the
Really,
rules.
she just didn't want to lose.
Well, that's
So she
the
was
way it is with
holding
me.
out until everybody else would quit.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm that guy that tells the person doing the trivia that their answer is not correct. So yeah, I'm that
Well,
guy.
I'm on a team that does that too. So I
Okay, that's good. Yeah,
In a month, we're interviewing a trivia person. So
I didn't say
Oh,
anything
good.
bad about that.
yeah, yeah. Well, the one that we used to go to, the host said that she said I may be wrong, but even when I'm wrong, I'm right. So, and that's when we stopped going to that one.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's we do like doing the trivia, but it's tough on me mentally. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. It's not funny at all. I totally get it. So
I will say I'm sorry if I
It's
just
okay.
I will say that for this year at several of our festivals, we're bringing in Hoosier, hometown comics and games. They're going to have a booth at our events, and they're going to bring in tables and games so that you can sit down at the festival and play during the festival. This is something that we haven't had before, so we're going to have that new this year at 4 or 5 of our festivals. Should be. I'm hoping that it's well received. Yeah, please go ahead, Wendy.
So my question for you, for the final question, is what is the guilty pleasure beer that you would go to?
Oh, if I can get my hands on it, Old Rusty Nail from Fremont Brewing in Seattle.
Okay.
That's a yeah. I call them. I have a list of certain beers that I'd be willing to drown a kitten for. Drown a kitten beers are they have to be awfully good. But yeah, that is definitely yeah. Old Rusty Nail is the Rusty Nail. I think another beer that's just stunning is right here in the state, and it's from a extremely small brewery. But they did a bourbon barrel aged wee heavy. It's called Creek Bottom Brewery out of Oldenburg, Indiana. And when we do festivals, he brings bottles to sell just of that, just because he knows that he'll sell at least one, because I'll be there buying up 1 or 2 or how many he's got. So yeah, that is a guilty pleasure beer for myself. It's a big boy. But that being said, my taste doesn't really go that direction. I'd say my favorite style is like a grisette or a farmhouse or saison, something like that.
I was really hoping you'd say the Grisette from Moontown, because that's one of my favorite beers.
Oh yes, that is a stunningly, and that is from day one they had that beer. That is that's a Cody beer. I think he brought that over from Gordon Beers. Yeah, that is a great beer. If we're there and it's on, I drink it. Yeah. And Rob, if you get a chance, Field Brewing in Westfield.
Yes, I've been there.
His saison de Champ West is excellent.
I don't think I've had that. Okay.
It's called Saison de Champ West, and he'll also every once in a while do a barrel aged version of that. Stunning beer.
Okay.
Yeah, I could go on with that. Yeah, the Belgian Blonde from Wooden Bear, Ninja Monk is amazing. So, but we've got limited time.
Yeah. We're wrapping it up.
Yeah.
And so with that, we will start wrapping it up. So Mark, where can people find you? What would you like to promote?
Yeah, make sure that you take a look at the Indiana on Tap website. It's just indianaontap.com. It'll have our upcoming festivals and a lot of other festivals as well. Anything that uses on tap tickets will be right there on that calendar. There's something all over the state, so no matter where you are, you can go anywhere from. Right now, we do one in Columbus in May, and we do hops and coaster drops at Indiana Beach in September. So we go all the way up to Monticello. That's a heck of a day. 4,000 people and all the roller coasters on during the beer tasting. So, but yeah, it's number one. I try to write so that we create a better drinker. Sometimes I'll write for the breweries. Oftentimes I'll write for the drinkers, things that they need to appreciate in their breweries, things they need to look for. So we try to create a better drinker. We try to do articles that way, but we also will be writing the news of each of the breweries. So the website has a ton of information, as well as being your one-stop shop for the Tasting Society Marketplace as well. You can see all the partners and all their offers on there.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you both.
And so we'll go ahead and close the show out like we try to close every show. Whatever you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft.
Cheers.
As we all drink canned beer. Yeah.